Today we're talking about the Enneagram. If you've never heard of the Enneagram, or even if you have, stick around. This is the most powerful, impactful, transformational tool I have in my arsenal of living a meaningful, purposeful, intentional life and guiding other people to do the same. I am Baruch Halevi, co-founder of Soul Centered. Soul Centered is a spiritual center for meaning, purpose, and healing in the afternoon of life. What is the afternoon of life? Midlife and onwards. And during this time of our life, we cannot live like we did in the morning of life, the first half of life, according to Dr. Carl Jung, the founder of this idea of the afternoon of life. To do that, we need new goals, new rules, new tools, new ways of thinking and feeling and acting so that we can live an impactful and an inspirational life. And that's what the afternoon of life can be, particularly when you have the Enneagram. I work with clients and how to utilize it. And this is a conversation right now about the what is it and the why I use it and how I use it with clients. So the Enneagram is arguably 1,000 years old, going back to the Christian mystics, the Desert Fathers, around the time of BCE to CE, or some say goes back to a few hundred years prior to that to the Greeks and Pythagoras and geometry and mathematics, and some say thousands of years even prior to that. It doesn't matter. It was brought to the West in the previous century. It was adapted by psychologists, utilized by therapists, and made its way into the space, the realm of Myers-Briggs and Strength Finders and the Enneagram. And I have deep respect for each of those, but this is so much more. This is about personality, and Ennea is 9, and Gram is a picture, so it's 9, it's a circle with 9 types, and it is about 9 kind of basic personality types, but even that isn't true because each one has 3 subtypes. So there are really 27 basic types, but then from there, you have wings, which is the number on either side which you lean towards. So now you're into hundreds upon hundreds of combinations of personality types, and then lines going across, and pretty soon it's almost has an infinite number of combinations. It's challenging when people think it's a personality tool. And again, it does an amazing, uncanny job using the right Enneagram profiling system. Not all of them are created equal. The cheap ones, you get what you pay for. There are some really good ones out there, and the one I use with my clients is the best of the best, the premier Enneagram test. Not inexpensive, but again, you get what you pay for. So it depends on how sophisticated it is. It can be uncanny in putting you into a bucket. The challenge is I don't want to be put into a bucket, and the people I guide wouldn't and shouldn't be put into a bucket. I'm a logotherapist, a meaning-centered psychotherapist that hinges upon the idea of choice, that we have the power to choose. If I'm just a type, if I'm just a summation of my personality and I can be reduced to that, then ultimately I don't have free will. I'm just a little pawn, right, in the larger scheme of things, just kind of an ant marching, not really exercising my choice. That's not what the Enneagram is. The Enneagram is actually the pathway to have free will, because oftentimes when we think we're choosing, we're not choosing. We're not responding. We're reacting. The Enneagram looks at the ways we react through thinking, through feeling, and through emoting. Oh, that is feeling. Emotion, thinking, and action. That's it. Thinking, feeling, and action. And it looks at the ways we default on autopilot in survival mode. Where do I go? I go to an Enneagram 8. And my Enneagram is defined by anger, taking action, controlling the situation, which can be great if there's a fire, but it can be terrible if my kids are going head to head in my house and I overreact or underreact, but reacting always gets us into the same place. It gets us into survival, and we're not here to survive. We're not here as animals. We're supposed to ascend our nature, to become supernatural, transcending our nature and choosing. But for that, we have to know what we're choosing from. The Enneagram looks at our default choices and says that I default to an 8, you default to a 1, she defaults to a 3. That's not where we have to live. That is where we go to initially. And once we go there, and once we start having this Enneagram, we can look at our reactions and our patterns and pretty soon predict our behaviors and the outcome. You do what you always done, you get what you always got. In my life and the lives of the people I guide, you do what you always done, you get what you always got. doesn't work in the afternoon of life because I don't want what I had in the morning of life. I want it to be a different time of my life, and for that I need this different set of tools. It is a roadmap to help you in practical, empirical, tangible ways, and we need that. I deal in the realm of mind, body, and yes, spirit. The spirit is a central component of who we are. Logotherapy says that we are ultimately a soul, a spirit. Dr. Viktor Frankl calls it the noetic. It doesn't matter what you call it. We transcend our little meat suit, the flesh suit, as my other teacher, Wayne Dyer, calls it, and we are something so much more than that. But again, left to our own devices, we'll never even get to the place of the spirit because we'll be so busy surviving in our mind, in our emotions, in our body, in our reactions. You need a roadmap, something to hold in front of you, literally and figuratively, to look at it, to understand this is how I'm built, this is my reaction. But you know what? In this situation, I need to be a little less 8 and a little more 2, a little less controlling and a little more serving, whatever the right combination will be. So when I start with clients, we take the assessment from Integrative 9, an amazing Enneagram company out there with the premium by far tool, assessment tool. And so we take this profile as part of our program together. They get it and I get it, and we study it and talk about it together. And then it becomes the foundation of our conversations. Our conversations certainly aren't bound to the Enneagram, but it gives us a framework. It gives us a language to express the esoteric, like the spirit. I'm a spiritual pragmatist. I want tangible, practical tools, and yet I want to still have conversations about something like the spirit. This is a way to frame that and to have those conversations and to have a roadmap that I can take with me out into the world. It is a transformational tool that I offer to you, whether I work with you or not. And again, Integrative 9 is the premium test, so go take it. And if you're interested in the Enneagram, I will be talking more and more about it, so you can find it here on soulcentered.org, mysoulcentered.org. Stay tuned, come back, and we will continue our conversation around the Enneagram. I encourage you to look into it, to take the test, and to start taking it seriously. Until we meet, namaste, shalom, salam.